Good evening. My name is George Bruno, known to many as the Sultan of Silver, and welcome to the first episode of 2017's Beards Without Borders. Well, it's good to have you on board. You'll probably notice a few things that are different. The length of my beard is different than the last episode I did. It's much longer, although the past month and a half I took off 6 inches. We're out on the deck, the usual place that we started the Beards Without Borders issues. I am microphoned. I do have a lapel mic. I'm trying to find the perfect placement for it. I used to clip it under my beard, and then every time I move you hear this scratching sound, so I'm dealing with proper placement of that, and maybe even possibly creating a shotgun mic, which will isolate my voice. For those in the audio world, you know what that's all about. A couple things that you would recognize: the zombie gnome, which was with us all last year. Don Julio, which actually I probably should pour some right now. And for those who have never seen a Beards Without Borders broadcast, I always toast to you. Now, this is funny. This is the Don Julio from last summer, if you remember. I fell up about half, 3/4 of the way. There were many people who accused me of being an alcoholic. I think I'm the only guy that I know that can make a bottle of Don Julio last a year. It's kind of funny. So this is to you. We always start out with a little toast to you and the ladies in the house, because about 25% of the watching audience are women. So there you go. Oh, it just gets better and better. For those that are new to the game, the reason why I use a square shot glass is so when I go to drink it, I don't drink it through my mustache. I put the corner of the shot glass to my mouth. And I take the smallest sip, swish it around, let the vapors go up through my nostrils, then swallow. Love tequila. Love it. And then I always have a glass of water. Tonight it's seltzer water that I made with my Soda Stream that I love. I probably need to get a square rocks glass as well. Nice. And the first cigar of the year, believe it or not, because I'm normally in the Van Gogh room. And the Van Gogh room is half of a garden shed in my backyard. And what's interesting is, I have a table and 2 chairs and oil lamps and a propane heater for the wintertime. But what's interesting is when I smoke a cigar in there, I come out reeking so bad that literally I would have to take my clothes off and leave them at my back step before I enter the house. Out here on the deck, I don't have that issue. So we have a Padron here. This is a vintage cigar given to me by one of my guests that sits in my chair. His name is Bob. He's the director of a Harley-Davidson, like a hog group. We won't say which one it is, but this is a vintage Padron. Wait a minute. Padron? Patron. That was totally unplanned, but interesting. This is a torpedo style. I'm not sure what the ring is on it. For those who aren't into cigars, ring size is this right here. Like you would put a ring on your hand. So let's just... Those that smoke cigars, you kind of do this a little bit in the beginning with your own saliva to kind of shore up the cigar if it's loose at all. In the movies, you see a lot of the guys do that. And it just kind of tightens up the cigar in case it got loosened up in the humidor. the other big thing that's going to be different, now I have the torch out here tonight. This thing that I've used in the past, you've seen that. You can't really see that flame, but it is on. And it's hot. But tonight I'm going to use a hemp wick, if that doesn't work too well. This is new, by the way. This was given to me by Don Juan the Piper. This is a midnight toker. I've seen it advertised as a toker poker. So let's just open this up, unravel once, close it back up, and we'll do a little bit of lighting with the hemp tonight. And that's basically hemp with beeswax. And it has a little poker on it, a tamper for smoking a pipe, and a bottle opener. Handy little device, and it's texturized and kind of rubberized, so it's nice. It feels good in the hand. Now, this Padron right here, this vintage, I'm guessing it came in a box with a few others, a sized box, where it's like one fits like this, then like that, you know. I'm guessing this is anywhere between a $12 and $20 cigar. Boy, that's nice. Smooth. Aged beautifully. Great flavor. To you. My little cutter here, I have several different cutters. It has the guillotine cutter, then it's got that little V-notch cutter in it. Tonight I used the little guillotine cutter. But it's not a double blade. I forget where I got this. Nothing fancy, but I like the fact that it has two different cutters on it. Let me toast the zombie gnome. My faithful friend, you've been with us for a long time here. It was a long winter, wasn't it? And then I always chase it with a little bit of water or seltzer, always. And that's, like I said, from my soda stream. I haven't bought bottled seltzer water in 5 years. Perfect. Let's talk about a couple things tonight. One of the things I want to talk about, and I did a live broadcast on Instagram about this, is as you progress financially in life, and I speak to all the brothers with beards and sisters who are watching as well. And this is not just an American broadcast. The reason why I call it Beards Without Borders is because people all over the world watch this. And if you're a first-time watcher, one of the things you know to be true about this particular show is it's about peace. There's a lot of war in the world. There's a lot of fighting, not only amongst countries, cultures, ethnicities, religions. We don't talk about that here. It's not something we talk about. If you want to talk about it, you're in the wrong place. Then it's time to move on. What we talk about here is peace. That's why it's Beards Without Borders. Because there are some people here who I have a beard for, my reason is different than your reason. My reason is just pure laziness. Because I hate shaving. Your reason might be religious. You might be Jewish. You might be Muslim. It might be hunting season for you. It might be you want a cool beard. You might be in the Devin Townsend Project and watching this, which I know they're a fan. You might have a beard product company. Beards Without Borders is how I branded myself apart from my own guests. For those that don't know me, I'm a hair professional. I've been in the field a long time. I'm the top beardsmith, beard artist in the world, and an educator, and I travel. I do hair shows and all that stuff. And I have multiple streams of income. And I had a big wake-up call, maybe, 2-3 months ago, where I had an injury, and it was on my scissor hand, and I couldn't use scissors. And for about 6 weeks, I lost use of this hand. Emergency room, minor surgery, the whole bit. But here's the thing. When my scissors stop cutting, the money stops flowing. So I've always been a believer in having multiple streams of income. When one stops, the bills still get paid. That's why I'm a fan of talking about business. Let me take these lighters out of here, because if I want to flick an ash, I don't feel like blowing up. But you don't flick your ash till it gets to be about 1 inch. So here's the deal. In order to pursue your dreams, and we've talked about this in the past, and I did it in a live broadcast, you need 3 things, and I call it AF2. A is action. The first F as in Frank, is focus. The second F is fortitude. Action, focus, fortitude. AF2. And we're going to talk about that tonight. When people say to me, Sultan, what is your secret? My secret is AF2. And as I coach people one-to-one, I'm always assessing the AF2 factor in their life. Whether it be personal or business coaching. Because we always talk about this. Where are you going to be next time? This time next year. Where will you be? Are you going to be mocking people who are hustling and making it? Or are you still going to be in the same place? Are you going to be talking about your goals but doing nothing about it? Wishing you were somewhere else, wishing that you drove a different car, wishing you lived somewhere else? As I've said in the past, wishing and hoping is not a strategy. This is such a beautiful cigar. Holy cow. This is beautiful. Let's go through a couple things really quick. Action. You need to take action. Dan Kennedy taught me that probably 25 to 30 years ago. If you don't take action of some type every single day, move the chess piece a little bit further, the game piece a little bit further every single day, and you do that by writing lists. That's so important to take action on your goals, no matter where you are in the world. I don't care if you live in a tree house, a hut, a yurt, a high-rise office building, a high-rise condo, in a cabin, in a tiny house, in an RV. It just doesn't matter. You need to take action. Let's talk about those things tonight, one at a time. Action. Now, unfortunately, many people have fallen under the curse of this thing called the law of attraction. And in the law of attraction means if you set your mind on something, visualize it, it's going to happen. But without accompanying it with action, you can visualize all you want. Stand on your head, hum, deep breathing, whatever you want to do. If it's not accompanied by action, forget it. For instance, if I have a ham sandwich in front of me, I can close my eyes and go roast beef, roast beef, roast beef. And guess what? I could do that till the cows come home, and it's still going to be a ham sandwich. Unless I make a roast beef sandwich, that thing's going to be a ham sandwich. That's just the way it is. Law of attraction says visualize a roast beef sandwich. The law of action says make a roast beef sandwich. You got it? Some people say, well, I'm depressed, I'm down. Well, no shit. You can think your way into depression. Life can put you there as well. But you have to act your way out. Let me say it again. You can think your way into depression, but you have to act your way out. I remember Anthony Robbins used to say years ago, and I'm talking 25 years ago, before anyone knew who the guy was, look up in the sky and smile. He used to say that. And hold it for 60 seconds. Your body does not know the difference between you smiling for real reasons, but all of those muscles, your nerves are saying to your brain, you're happy. And you can do something to get yourself out of that momentary funk. Look up and smile. 60 seconds. It sounds crazy, but that's a great tool to use to get yourself out of a funk. So I want to replace the law of attraction with the law of action. Obstacles to action are this. Learned limitations. I knew a woman that had golden retrievers, and the golden retriever, since it was a little tiny baby, would go into the laundry room at night with its food, and they'd put that expandable gate in the doorway. And that expandable gate would hold it in there. It would jump up on the gate, and then eventually it would circle in its bed and lay down. After a year, when that golden retriever was 150 pounds, huge, they didn't even have to expand the gate in the doorway and lock it into place. What they did was, they just leaned it up against the doorway. And Barney, the dog, recognized the gate as a limitation. In his mind, he was thinking, this was the thing, the device that kept me in this room. So just even the sight of that gate, the sound of that gate on the door, meant I'm limited. What in your life is limiting you? What in your life, just the sound of it, takes your mojo away? What in your life takes just the sound of it or the sight of it takes your action away? People in your life, loved ones, people that are close to you, spouses. I can guarantee you right now, the people that are closest to you are the ones that are holding you back more than anything else. Think about that. Another obstacle to action is this. Pediatric specialists tell us that babies are born with two innate fears. One is loud noises, one is the fear of falling. Every other fear is learned. What are you afraid of? And I can guarantee you it was a learned response. Because you are only born with two, and that's a loud noise. For instance, I don't want you to do this, but if you were around an infant and went like that child would, it would jump. It would be scared. That's natural. I have 3 kids. And I've held 3 babies in my arms over the years. And you hold them tight and close, and you cradle their heads, because you know any quick movement makes the baby stiffens up. That's innate. That's built in them. Loud noises and the fear of falling. Everything else is learned. I remember with fear, I remember joking around with someone in college and taking an iron. Remember, an iron that you iron your clothes with. I was probably one of 3 people in my dorm that used to iron my clothing every morning because I wanted to look good for the day. And I'll never forget somebody waiting to use the iron at the ironing board in the lounge at the dorm. And it wasn't even plugged in. I didn't even plug it in, didn't even turn it on. And I would take the iron and tease them, and they'd jump back because they thought it was hot. They thought it was hot. They didn't know it was hot. They thought it was hot. But they reacted like it was hot. How many things in your life do you think are dangerous to you? In your head, but you haven't proven it. That keeps you from acting. That's another obstacle. In Haiti, there's witch doctors that take chicken bones. You know, like when you eat wings and you got bones left, they got these bones. And they put them in a box and they shake the bones. And they toss it on the ground, and the way the bones land. In the same way, fortune tellers read leaves and read Greek, the Greek coffee that drips down the cup, and they read the drippings and all that kind of stuff. They would read the bones. And if the bones said death or fortune or whatever, the people who came to that witch doctor would believe that. There are cases where the witch doctor said, darkness and death is coming soon. And those people had a heart attack right then and there because of their strong belief that they were going to die. An obstacle to action is fear. Another obstacle to action is scripting. Everyone has a script. My grandfather died at 60. My dad died at 60. I'm going to die at 60. It's more than just genetics. It's mental. So when you start getting to be 60, when you're 59, you kind of start naturally, you start worrying. And then when you make 61, you're like, whew, but it could be any day. Write your own script. No one writes your script except you. Action is the only thing that cures fear. Let me say it again. Action is the only thing that cures fear. Focus. Most people in businesses suffer from a lack of focus. You know, we exist in a attention deficit culture. We're bombarded with about 10,000 advertising messages every single day, whether it be on the radio, TV, surfing the web, tablets, phones, wherever. Advertising constantly. And it's hard to kind of put on blinders so you can get that stuff out and stay focused. I always say, when I was doing sales work, which I do now, I return a lot of phone calls, and I sell myself on a regular basis. My goal is this, 10 by 10. 10 phone calls by 10 a.m. Period. It's focused. That means every keystroke, every phone call, every email, every knock on the door, people know you don't mess with me before 10 o'clock in the morning because I get more work done. Actually, I get more work done before 8 o'clock in the morning than most people do in most of their day. Because I'm laser focused. Morgan Spurlock, he asks an ad executive, where can I go to escape advertising messages? And the executive said this, sleep. That's the only place. Go to sleep. You're distracted. Everyone's distracted. You have to become an expert at this, fighting distraction. Think about this. Malcolm Gladwell said that you become an expert after doing something for 10,000 hours. Now think closely about this. If you're doing the wrong thing for 10,000 hours, then you became an expert at doing the wrong thing. Imagine that. How many things are you an expert at that are right and wrong? You can relearn that behavior. Did you know that distracted driving is the #1 reason for car accidents now, even more than alcohol? Distracted driving. It's a trip, isn't it? A traveler asked Socrates, "How do I get to Mount Olympus?" Socrates, in his wise-ass fashion, said, "Just make sure every step you take is in the direction of Mount Olympus." Where do you need to eliminate distraction in your life? You'll get further. That's called traction. That's why I'm a traction coach. You can be real busy and get nothing done. Do you ever get stuck in the snow or the sand? Wheels are going 60 miles an hour, but the car is going nowhere. Why? It has no traction. So where will you be this time next year? You'll get somewhere if you have traction. You can spend a year being really, really busy, but never going anywhere. The power of focus is amazing. When you focus on something, you can get so much more done. I can teach you some methods for that if you ever wanted to get unstuck, because 2017 is the year that you get unstuck. Here we are halfway through 2017. How far have you gotten? I always tell people, just email me and we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about my coaching as well. gb@georgebruno.com. gb@georgebruno.com. Having goals is also a focus technique as well. I remember my Uncle Robert saying once, if you don't have a plan for your life, there's always going to be someone else that will be happy to include you in their plan. I say this, if you don't have a plan for your future, you don't get one. I might be the grandfather you never had. Last and finally is fortitude. It's an old-fashioned word for guts. Webster defines fortitude as strength of mind. The strength of mind a person has to bear adversity and uncertainty and pain. It helps you be more comfortable with uncertainty. And that's one of the most powerful things that you can have, is to be comfortable with uncertainty. For instance, the average person who wrecks their hand and can't cut hair. Think about this now. And can't cut hair because of an accident, because this is how you make your money. Now, you might make your money different. If you don't have other sources of income, you're going to be very, very uncomfortable. And that uncertainty has been eliminated from my life because of multiple sources of income, multiple streams. When one stream dries up, you have 5 others, 10 others that will bring income in and pay the bills until you can start cutting hair again. If you're in the hair business, that's how I look at it. How comfortable are you with uncertainty? This applies to you. This applies to you no matter where you are in the world. I don't care if you're living in a desert or a city or the country and sitting on a bale of hay or on a tractor or on a BMW or on a snowmobile or an Indian, or Harley, or Victory motorcycle, or a Vespa scooter, no matter where you are. You need traction, you need certainty, you need action. 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 And focus. Eliminate all distractions from your life. That's absolute key. Always chase your sips with water. Especially if you're smoking a cigar or a pipe. As I like to say, as we wrap these sessions up, peace be with you, and the proper response is, and also with you. So I would like to tell you tonight, I wish you peace wherever you are. Peace be with you, my brothers and my sisters. I wish you the best. Get a hold of me if you want. Where will you be this time next year? I'll be doing Beards Without Borders 12 months a year next year. Peace be with you.